The Met Police feel that Sadiq Khan made a good point, but maybe went a little too far in using the word epidemic. Is that how you see it, as an epidemic?
The levels of men's violence against women and the rates at which they murder them have remained fairly consistent over, more than 10 years now. They go up and down. And, credit to Karen Ngala-Smith, who runs the project Counting Dead Women, for religiously recording women who were previously lost within general homicide figures. I think Sadiq Khan made some good points. I think he's learning well from male violence against women campaigners, because a lot of the points that he made were very similar to the points we make day in and day out. I don't think he went too far. I think, if you've got a woman murdered by a man, and this year, there have been 108 women murdered so far in the first 266 days. You've got 108 women there. If that's one woman every 2.5 days, in previous years, been one every 3 days, then those are phenomenally terrifying levels of men's violence against women.
But in a sense, you make exactly my point, because Sadiq also said, almost as a throwaway line, we need to talk to boys in schools. We need to seek to get to the root cause of the problem. And unless you're very cautious with your language and talk about epidemics and terrorism, and you yourself just said, actually, over a 10-year period, it's ghastly, 108, 120, far too many. One is too many. But it's been about the same over here. That's not an epidemic. That's a core problem in society that we're not doing anything about. And he's the mayor, and she's the Met Commissioner. Why is it not being done?
Well, I think, one thing I will say about Sadiq Khan there, he mentioned the names of cases which became really well known. And actually, some of these women just slip under the radar. No one ever mentions them. Specifically, there seems to be a hierarchy of victims, and there's nothing to be taken away from the really horrific murder of Sabina Nessa, and we're all absolutely devastated to read about this. But there are women murdered who are migrant women with no recourse to public funds, and they've got 4 children, and they've suffered decades of violence before a man murders them, and no one ever hears about them. So in a way, although we're saying there are these levels, they only come to prominence when the woman is somehow selected by the media to be to be highlighted as important. And, we mustn't forget all of those other women. And some women are dying because of the domestic abuse bill, for example, refused to include migrant women, these women with no recourse to public funds, as being guaranteed services. So it's small things like this that government aren't doing. They're not completely listening to women. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does, and very eloquently. I'm going to make a public confession, and that is, I'm not going to get into the debate over the failings and shortcomings of the legislation that you mentioned there, because I'm not an expert in it. If I'd known we were going to go on to that one, about the... No. I just want to explain. I'm not ignoring you. I heard what you said, and I promise faithfully I will take it away and look, because I know I've seen commentary on it, but I haven't read enough in it to get into that conversation. But what I do want to stick with, because it's absolutely vital, is the role of the media. And I honestly look you in the eyeballs. I don't know what we can do about it, because we picked up immediately today, and all of the newsrooms filled. So whether you're cycling every year for 4 years to raise money, or whether we're trying to give a better, more constructive and thoughtful spin upon it in the reporting of it, I don't know. But nothing's happening. It's not stopping.
It isn't stopping. And I think, there are a number of reasons for that. I can go through those, my view of those, if you like. This idea of stranger seems to make the fact that we are now seeing domestic homicide as common or commonplace, even boring perhaps. But when you talk about the media, I am constantly asking the BBC, and I will pick out the BBC because they do it repeatedly, which is they will not put man in the headline. They say murder arrested, not man arrested. It's really simple. Man is shorter than murder, so there is no good reason they can't put man in that headline. And so if you aren't pointing out that this is men's violence against women on a regular basis, then that message doesn't get over to the public. And in some ways, men are excused from that headline. And so, it's not that men are let off the hook, but then they are let off the hook when they go to court. So there's a joint and joined up way of approaching this. I think the porn industry have got a massive influence on men. I think that the hardcore and more violent and more brutal porn gets, the more men see women as dehumanized and the less value they have in society. Likewise, prostitution. Prostituted women are available to be bought and used. That's a message that men get from quite an early age, and that is in existence in society. So, it's absorbed that some women are less human than others and can be used as such. I think, you've got to have effectively trained police officers, but going back to Sadiq Khan's point, the source, really get to it young and do it hard. Put these figures in front of young men. Ask young men why this is happening. But men who murder women hate them. Men don't murder women that they love. So where is this hatred, this overwhelming hatred of women in large numbers coming from? And that is something we really need to look at.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows, and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.